observed, were there any things that you've seen many of situations like this? Did anything strike you as extraordinary in this? Obviously, we are still dealing with power outages. We are in a facility that has no power at this point, and we don't know at what point we will be restoring power to our community completely, but that is going to be a burden as well. But is there anything that you would like to inquire about or comment on in this regard?
Well, first and foremost, I'm very impressed with the response that occurred immediately upon the disaster, the tornado that struck here in Woodward. And I know that responding to tornadoes is no stranger to your community, because I understand it's about 65 years ago this week that you had your terrible tornado that came through. I still remember coming back to one of your memorial services many years ago, paying tribute to the lives that were lost at that point in time. But I think because of your response so quickly yesterday during a tremendous amount of storms, whether it started in the afternoon with your first tornado siren that went off to the one that went off, the storm that came in, I should say, a little bit after midnight, and trying to deal with a siren that wasn't quite working at the time, and getting the response out immediately throughout your communities is just remarkable what you have done. But once again, that emphasizes how important it is to have a plan and to have all that coordinated throughout many different levels of government, and even certainly your charities that are here. And first of all, I want to say thank you to your first responders that were there immediately on the side. I know I've talked to so many people that were up all night and probably haven't gone to bed yet, so we appreciate your hard work today of all of you. And we're here to help. We wanted to let you have time to make sure that we have recovered everyone that might have lost their life, and our thoughts and prayers just go out with the families that have lost their loved ones, especially the children. It's always devastating to hear about lost life of children, and those who are injured also. A lot of people who are injured in this, and that happens. But our thoughts and prayers go out with them. I want to just say, thank you, and that we're going to be here to do whatever we can. I signed today an emergency declaration which will allow the state of Oklahoma to bring forth all the local state services that we need to in a quick response, especially as it relates to being able to access equipment or resources that you need here in your local community. I want to commend our director, Albert Ashwood, who is the head of our emergency management. He and his team have been very busy since Friday, because I've been talking to him all weekend, and I don't know when he's been to sleep either, but he and his team, Michael and Ann, have worked so very hard over the weekend to give us as much notice as possible of what was pending coming with the big fronts that came through. And Albert, I appreciate all that you've done. He came over early this morning with the emergency declaration. It's signed, it's ready to go. And also Commissioner John Doe with our insurance department has joined us here. He was in contact with me earlier this morning, and he's always right on spot, jumping in immediately with his team to give advice on what families should do when they have lost homes and properties and businesses, with filing insurance claims, how to take pictures of what's happened and occurred and who to contact, and to make sure that they're not gouged, and,
That's right.
and other people might come in that have other intentions through scamming the local people here. So, Commissioner, I appreciate you being here. And Mayor, I know it's been a tough time. Anytime you have a loss of life and you have loss of property in your community, it's very, very hard. So we appreciate all that you have done, and Senator and Representative, all of you. The hospital, it's incredible to hear the hospital response last night. And how do you manage an emergency triage type situation and transfer them to the right places? And so I just appreciate the response of the charities and everybody that's here in this room. What we saw when we flew over a couple of times over the sites, was certainly the houses that were totally lost, those that had a tremendous amount of damage. We saw vehicles that were uprooted and thrown in some other location, lots of debris. You see the debris field, the trees that were broken off, lots of power lines down, poles down, the streets certainly closed, lost electricity. Those are all the things that we saw. The fortunate part is it looked like the tornado wasn't as wide as some of the tornadoes I've seen in Oklahoma, which means that the path was a little smaller, thank goodness. But any loss at all, of course, is devastating to the state of Oklahoma. So we're going to do everything we can to be available, to be here, to get the resources that we can. And I know that FEMA's already on the spot, if I understand it right, Director.
They'll be in tomorrow afternoon to do an assessment with us.
They're already prepared to go and to come in to assess the needs of the community and help you guys get back on your feet.
Well, obviously, we're well aware that that's always going to be the case with our great state. We understand the partnership that we have with the agencies. We can't go without also patting the Oklahoma Highway Patrol on the back as well. We had troopers here doing all sorts of different performances last night, today as well, and it's been a great help for that. But you've been here many times, and you know Woodward very well. And so, as the mayor said, we will be getting this behind us very quickly, and we'll be rebuilding lives as best we can. And we know that we can rely on you, and certainly your presence here today emphasizes that. So we thank you for that. We invite you now to tour the damaged areas, and if you would care to come back and then address the media, that would be great. And anything that you see that you think is noteworthy, please bring to our attention, and we'll be glad to go from there.
And thank you for mentioning the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. I had a report from our Commissioner of Public Safety early this morning, and they did round up a lot of our highway patrol in this area throughout many different counties surrounding this area, and came in as soon as they heard the storm was coming in, especially with problems with the sirens, to be here to help. And we really appreciate all they've done to help us close the roads.
Absolutely.
And to help us go into the communities and hand the damage. They've done a great job.
Very good.
Governor, I'd just like to mention that I completely agree with you. Our state does a great job in circumstances like this. And some of the folks that you mentioned that we really want to talk about is the elderly and folks that have been through this. We don't want them to be victimized twice. So our fraud unit's going to be on the ground working with local law enforcement, our consumer services division. Albert's team does such a great job. The insurance community comes in kind of after the fact, and there'll be several catastrophe vehicles rolling in probably late tonight, tomorrow. But we want to make sure that consumers know and understand their rights, how to handle the claims, because we've seen this from Norman yesterday to areas around our state, that this happens very quickly. And we want to send a message that fraud won't be tolerated, and we want to make sure that we're taking care of consumers. So we'll be set up here this week as well with our staff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Governor, if I could make one comment. We had, I talked to you a little bit about it, but I wanted the press to have a chance to understand how important volunteer firefighters were from all the communities. They poured in from all over, not just the northwest part, all over the state. And they're volunteer, but they're trained well, they take their job serious, and a response like this wouldn't be possible with the volunteer firefighter community we have in the state.
Absolutely. Yeah, our first responders are critical anytime you have a disaster like this. And once again, unfortunately, Oklahoma has a lot of disasters, so we have, I think, the best in the nation when it comes to how we respond to tragedies. We teach other states how to do it, how to do it right.
All of our rescues were made within the first hour. Is that right? Yeah. That is a testament to not just these guys that were here, all the guys that were in the field, following orders. It was impressive.
Senator Marlette was here all night to view it all, so